Today I have Dylan Perdomo.
Yes, sir.
Man, what's the feeling like, brother?
It's the same as any win for the Tigers. It's always let's go.
I'm telling you, they had a fought back from a losers bracket, had to beat the number one team twice. How did they do it?
You know, it's kind of that way of LSU. You get when you get on the hard roads, that's where LSU is really powerful when they
Yeah.
play the hard roads.
Uh,
If they play a lot of the easy roads,
uh,
you see us win, but then you'll see us get defeated against teams that we should not lose against.
yeah.
But when you take the hard road and having to fall back from getting beat
Uh,
twice and still
yeah.
winning the national championship, that's a big thing for LSU.
Yeah. So at the end of the season, everybody's goal is to dogpile in Omaha, and LSU was on top. I mean, that has to be a great feeling for you.
Oh my goodness, just seeing them dog pile, that's a moment that everyone that I won't that I'm gonna remember because that's what a lot of people want is the dog pile when they see them winning a championship.
Yeah, I know it. It has to be one of the best moments in LSU history. Last time they won was in 2009. That's been about 13 years ago,
Ooh,
and it was about time for them to do it again. Um, so if you look at Paul Skeens,
oh, don't the goat. Don't even, Lordy.
if you look at Paul Skeens, Trey Morgan, um, Gavin Dugas,
You're missing one.
the third baseman.
No, no, no. You're missing the main one.
Our,
Cruz,
our
baby.
yeah.
Cruz.
Oh, Dylan Cruz. Yeah, I forgot about him.
You can't
Dylan
forget Dylan
Cruz.
Cruz.
Dylan Cruz. What have they meant to this program?
Oh my goodness. They've just you can tell when they actually want to win something. You know, you don't get to see in a regular season game the same person hit 3 home runs in a or 2 home runs in a regular season game in one ball game. You don't get to see that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Jamar Chase and him in football.
Uh
You
huh.
look how many touchdowns Jamar Chase got in a ball game. You
Yeah.
don't see nobody scoring 6 touchdowns in a ball game, do you?
No, you do not.
That's the same thing with Dylan Cruz. I went to the game at Ole Miss. He hit a home run solo, then hit a grand slam on his second bat. Two
Uh huh.
bats, his first 2 bats, home runs.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often.
You do. You do not. And
So that shows you what they want.
that.
They
Yeah.
wanted to win. There was a goal they wanted, and they wanted to win. And I knew this could be the year. A lot of people says in college baseball you don't want to start a team as number one
Yeah.
because at the end you won't get where you thought they were going to get to. But guess
Yeah.
what? LSU they may have went from number one, number two to number five,
Mhm.
but we ended number one, being the national champions.
Yeah, absolutely. That is awesome. And when you think all of LSU's games in the College World Series have been really close,
All of
and
them have. Even
and
on the games that we really put a good whooping on somebody, like how we did early,
uh,
at the end it still
yeah,
ended pretty close because they just try to fight back
yeah,
because it ain't over until the final inning.
yeah. So Florida, so LSU won the first game of the College World Series finals, and you thinking Um, if they could just be decent, that they'll be champions. But Florida LSU really struggled in that second game, and
They they did.
and they couldn't they couldn't pitch it, and they lost big time. And today LSU returned the favor, beat
I
Florida,
mean, put it back on them.
beat Florida
That's
very bad. Um, so that has to be probably one of the greatest moments. And LSU is your 2023 national champion,
yes, we are.
and that will go down probably in the history books.
As one of the greatest baseball teams, probably.
Yep. And if you look at it, the women's basketball, the men's baseball, am I missing one?
Football.
Football, all in
Even
the
though that was in 2019, it's still you still got
yeah
to count that.
yeah all in the same year, just about to be honest. And that's probably has to be I mean just say just I mean the women's basketball, they were really good.
They were really
Um,
good. Coach Mulkey, she really came in and really put some. I don't know what she put in. I call it some magic or something because
oh
that's all it was magic. Because
yeah,
and then plus you also got to look at how they start. Coach Mulkey came. The girls basketball they weren't too good at all. And then when Kim Mulkey came to LSU, I said, well, that could be something for us to maybe get back on the
yeah,
side. But one key words, there was this key words that Kim Mulkey said
hmm
when on her first day as the LSU basketball coach. She said, "I look at all the banners in this gym.
yeah,
There's not one that says a national championship on there."
absolutely. And
And she said, "I want to bring the national championship home to LSU." And I tell you, LSU. I guess we're known. I guess we should be now known as people winning championships on their second year because Joe Burrow, first second year at LSU, all won a national championship, 15-0. Kim Mulkey, second year as head coach of Lady Tiger basketball, won the national championship, and now our head coach Jay Johnson of the Tigers baseball comes in second year winning the national championship.
yeah, yeah, and football's coming up, Big D, and it's about time to do it again with them. Um, it's been can I but don't get a good team,
They are a really good
but
team.
and I feel like if LSU can, how many games do you think they can win? I say 10. I mean
We can get a 10-win season.
they really have they really is looking toward a 10 win season. And the head coach, he's a really good one. He's gonna
Yeah, Kelly, he really put a lot.
he
Brian Kelly really put a big improvement after the Florida State loss in the beginning of the season last year in football. It was kind of it was just kind of like, okay, is this man going to even fit in with LSU after the season's over with? But he
uh
really improved a lot with the coaching, and then you saw, I mean, not to throw nothing at you, but I mean, you saw the Mississippi State game down
yeah
17-0 the entire ball game. then you're down 17-10 going into the fourth quarter,
Uh huh.
and we literally dropped the atomic bomb and just destroyed and scored the fourth quarter like crazy and still put a whooping on the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And then same thing like for Ole Miss. You getting beat already right out of the gate, getting beat 14-0, 21-0 by Ole Miss. Halftime, you're tied. I can't remember. It's either tied or you're up by 3, and then you come out 35 second half 35-0, destroyed Ole Miss, beat them, and then of course the most gutsiest call ever. I believe the most gutsiest call ever in college football history, going for 2 against Alabama for the go ahead win in overtime.
And and that right there, beating Alabama. That was
Yeah,
probably one of the greatest moments ever too. It was.
it's hard for LSU to defeat. There's some sports we can beat Bama in pretty easy. There's some sports that we have to battle Alabama. Football is one of those sports against Alabama. You have to either fight with them or it's going to go your way or their way. A lot
Yeah.
of times it does go their way, but that's just because they are who they are. I mean, we can't control how their coach, how their coach. I mean, they're coached by one of the greatest coach, if not the greatest coach ever in college football history. And I mean, he has done a lot, but but he also did coach for LSU at a time, and
It is.
so we can find that inner greatness in us to play, and that's where a lot of times we do get that win over Alabama football is when we find that inner greatness in us to beat them.
Yeah. It's and uh ain't the LSU? It's at Alabama this year, ain't it?
Yes, this year we'll be at Alabama.
Maybe.
I mean, it
Well,
is going to be more nerve wracking because, yes, we did beat them last year at LSU. Yes, we are going to play them at Alabama. They're going to probably want to score 100 points on us. But, you know, sometimes it's time to say we need to put a stop to winning against them and then losing another 2 or 3 years. Like, it's time that we need to start putting back to back wins on teams like Alabama.
yeah. And going back to baseball, Mississippi State, they won it in 2021, and that was their first national championship in school history in any
Oh
sport.
yes, I watched that game.
And that was, as state fans, that was a proud moment too.
It really was. Even though I'm not a big miss. I don't like Mississippi State. I sure
Yeah,
do not like Ole Miss.
yeah,
But I will tell you, teams in Mississippi on the map too. Also know that, and this year they had talked about Southern Miss wanting to do the same thing to put it 3 years in a
yeah,
row. But I knew after last year's loss to Southern Miss, I said I think next year is going to be a little different. It's going to
yeah,
be so much different. And when I first and I always say the next year is LSU's year.
yeah,
Well, then sometimes it happens, and sometimes it don't. But
yeah,
sometimes if I have when I have a feeling that this is our year, not just because we were ranked number one for a long period of time, or
uh-huh.
not because we beat these certain teams that I didn't like.
Yeah,
When you actually look at the performance they play, you actually get to say, you know what, this is actually something. I mean, and I'm going to talk about all three of the sports. Start
Yeah.
off with football. I mean, first couple of games, you're kind of like, wow, this team is really good. But once you got deeper into the season, okay, we done beat Florida, Auburn, Alabama. Then you're like, hold on now, this team is actually something because they're beating teams pretty badly that they should be in close games with.
Yeah.
And
And
then and then after the regular season games against Texas A&M, when we were moving to the SEC tournament championship against Georgia in 2019, I started having a feeling. I said, national championship is in New Orleans, home. Basically, you make it to that national championship in New Orleans if you're in LSU, you're basically on home turf advantage of winning that championship on your home field. And that's when I knew. I said, this is going to be LSU's year to win the national championship. And then, there you go. 2 months later, in
yeah,
February,
yeah,
we won the national championship.
yeah. Looking at Southern, they don't get me wrong, they're a good baseball team, and
Oh yeah, they're really good. But I like some. There's some teams that you have to kind of say they are a good team, but they don't have. I'm not going to say they don't have the potential to win.
uh
I
huh,
think they have. Any team has a potential to win any
absolutely.
championship. I mean, look at. I mean, you just look at. All right, look. Let's look at TCU this past football season.
Hmm.
Even though they did get beat very, very badly against Georgia in the national
I agree.
championship, but you saw what they did.
Yeah.
Had they had the potential to win, they can have the potential to win.
Oh yeah.
But Georgia was too powerful.
Yeah.
So any team has a potential to win any championship. I don't care if it's national championship, state championship, for high school, or even the pros world championship, whatever they call it. Anybody can win it. Any
Yeah.
team has the potential.
Yeah. Absolutely. And LSU, I mean, they were a better team this year.
Really was. I mean, I was a lot surprised of how we played, because I was worried that when they first opened up the season saying LSU was ranked number one in the season, I just said, okay, we might get a couple of wins. We might go like 5-0, but then we're going to get that one loss, and then it's going to be drop. We're going to drop badly, and then
Yeah.
it's like we're going to have to wait till the conference play to finally fight our way back to the top. But then you noticed that long period of time we was ranked number one. I mean, when I
Yeah.
went to the Ole Miss game, we were still ranked number one. And then again, I mean, 3 home runs a ball game, 4, 5, 6 home
Yeah.
runs a ball game.
Yeah.
You don't see that in a lot of teams. They don't. I don't matter. I don't matter if it's little league, high school, the pros. You don't see teams hitting 6 home runs, six.
Yeah. Yeah. And one last question. Would you ever at the beginning of the season would you thought that LSU will be the last team standing? Dylan, can you hear me? Yeah. You can't hear me? Well, Um, if it's breaking up, D.
LSU.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Um. Yeah. So,
But once we hit the regionals,
uh,
I said there's
yeah. I mean, one heck of a yeah. I agree. One heck of a season by LSU. Man, thank you for coming on, dude. And giving your input on LSU season, and they top it off with a national championship. So thank you for coming on, D, and I'll talk to you next time, brother.
yeah. Get off. I just want to say one last thing.
What's that?
Go Tigers.
Amen, brother. Thank you for joining Big D, and I'll catch you up next time, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll see you.
All right.
I'll see you, brother.